So the Seattle Seahawks yesterday confirming that they will pick up the fully guaranteed $12.7 million owed to Geno Smith entering 2024. That becomes fully guaranteed today. So Gino Smith is staying on the roster after signing the big contract extension last offseason. But it's a full regime change, of course, in Seattle. Mike McDonald, the new head coach, new offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, who is going to Tuscaloosa to join Kalen DeBoer and then is now staying in the Pacific Northwest at the NFL level, the former Washington Huskies offensive coordinator the past few years. What will they do at the quarterback spot? Who is going to start 2024, a different story, but Geno Smith is going to be rostered, it would seem, entering next year as the Seahawks make that fully guaranteed $12.7 million salary a thing today.
Yeah, by the way, Geno Smith, not a great quarterback, but not a bad quarterback. Well, right around mid-level. You can get quality quarterback play out of Geno Smith here, and that's a pretty cheap number. Because how many times in the past do we see a quarterback saying, hey, he's going to have $50 million guaranteed if he makes the roster? $13 million is cheap, and that's what you're getting. Look, he's a decent quarterback. You might win football games with him. It's not a bad option. That's what I'll say.
Listen, I love the caveat to start. Geno Smith, not a great quarterback, not a bad quarterback, a decent option at the QB spot. Geno Smith, of course, I believe was the comeback player of the year 2 years ago, coming back from not being very good around the NFL. This year was not nearly as illustrious for Geno Smith and the Seahawks, but still, Seattle was in the postseason picture for most of the year leading into the final few weeks of this regular season. They are hoping for more, a regime change after Pete Carroll, who spent the previous 14 seasons as the head coach in the Pacific Northwest, no longer the head man. So as we look around the National Football League, continuing this offseason picture, the Bears making a couple of moves yesterday, releasing veteran safety Eddie Jackson, Action Jackson, and offensive lineman Cody Whitehair, who had combined salary cap numbers of roughly $32 million. And that's interesting, Donnie, because the Bears already entered this offseason with more than $100 million in cap space, by far the most of any of the 32 NFL clubs around the league. Now they're going to free up more than $30 million. The offseason is owned by Chicago here in 2024. We will see what they do with it.
Yeah, and by the way, you're going to take a look at some options for the Bears when they sound like wholly overpay, because the interesting part about the NFL, Ben, is you do have a floor, so you have to pay people. And if you want guys to come in and say, hey, well, nobody wanted our money, you have to overpay guys to get them to come to Chicago because you have so much cap room. That's going to take place. But those were interesting options because you lose a guy on the offensive line who's a very good safety there, but obviously they have their eyes on the prize, rebuilding this franchise in the right mode, and that's going to start with that top overall pick if they do select a quarterback, if they do trade out of it. But you're right, Ben. They have a ton of money to spend now, and now even more into the offseason.
A ton of money, which is a good thing, but now the pressure is there for second-year GM Ryan Poles to make the correct decisions to set up the future for this Chicago Bears organization. The number one overall pick that, again, Caleb Williams is a minus 1,500 favorite to go first overall. Always add in the caveat that Caleb Williams, if he is selected first overall to win that bet, doesn't necessarily need to be the Bears making the pick, but we expect that to be the case. It's an interesting offseason, as we discussed at length, for Chicago. They keep Matt Eberflus into year number 3. Entering year number 4, Justin Fields is probably not going to be the quarterback of the Bears moving forward. It seems as though they will retain that first overall pick, get Caleb Williams, and then the Bears draft once again in the top 10 at 9th overall at this point. New market available for the 2024 NFL draft. The odds to go number 3 overall, where the Heisman winner in 2023, Jaden Daniels, is the favorite at plus 160, followed by Drake May, plus 190, Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out of Ohio State, plus 270, J.J. McCarthy, fourth best number at plus 850. The New England Patriots hold that number 3 overall pick. And new head coach Rod Mayo, in so many words, when he was introduced to the Patriots media up there in Foxborough, said, we are going to draft the most important position in football at 3rd overall. Didn't say a QB, of course, did not say which prospect they liked the most, but they're going to draft a quarterback 3rd overall.
Yeah, exactly. You would love to have Marvin Harrison Jr., but the problem with drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. here for the New England Patriots is what? You got to have somebody to throw him the football, and they're not running it back with Mac Jones. All of that stuff being put out probably from the New England side where Mac Jones lost the locker room, was a toxic quarterback room. You know they're moving on here. It will be a quarterback. We're just going to find out which quarterback it's going to be. Daniels would be such an intriguing opinion in New England here to get that superstar at quarterback that can absolutely torch a defense with his arm, but also his legs.
Right now, quarterbacks are favored to go 1, 2, 3. Williams minus 1,500 at first overall. Drake May minus 160 at second overall. The Washington Commanders hold that pick. Jaden Daniels plus 160. There is going to be so much market movement. Donnie highlighted this yesterday. Jaden Daniels is going to get a ton of love in the draft process for what he can do athletically, and rightfully so. I do think the odds makers have the order correct right now. Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 2, Jaden Daniels 3. We will wait and see exactly how that looks.